Here we're going to kick off the final episode of season 1 of the Frederick Factor. Welcome to the Frederick Factor. I'm Sandy Dubé, your host of season 1. To everyone who has lived in, worked in, or visited Frederick, Maryland knows that there's just, something special about this place. One of those things is the incredible diverse community that continues to grow. Here on this podcast, we bring Frederick's underrepresented business owners, entrepreneurs, and community leaders into the spotlight to share their stories with you and find out what's their Frederick Factor. Cannot tell you how excited I am to be joined today by Nikki Reineck, one of the co-owners of Sisters in Style, a clothing boutique here in Frederick, Maryland. For those of you listening to the podcast, Nikki is deaf, so we are joined by Rachel, our interpreter from iYellow Interpreting. So Nikki, thank you for being here.
Yes, hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you. So I will confess, because I'm kind of a full disclosure kind of a gal. I don't know. I just got to put it out there. This is take 2 of our podcast. So we did this one other time. I had some technical issues, not going to get into it, but I'm really excited to see you again, Nikki. Thank you. And thank Rachel with iYellow Interpreting for joining us today. Nikki, what brought you to Frederick, Maryland?
So I grew up in Frederick. I went to the Maryland School for the Deaf. I graduated there in 2005. It's a great school for deaf education. And really that's what brought me here to Frederick. And I went on to go to Gallaudet University and worked in DC after that. And then I had children, and having deaf children brought us back up to Frederick, Maryland. And then we decided to have a storefront, brick and mortar storefront there for clothes. We thought that would be a good spot to have a business.
Okay, well, one of the things that we learned on the first time you and I spoke was that you don't just have the store here in Frederick. Tell us about your second location or your warehouse.
Yes. So we do have a second location in Indianapolis, and it's the warehouse where we have all of the orders sent through when people order online or through our app. There's not a storefront there to shop, but there's just employees there, and we kind of run the operations out of there. And, we keep the inventory that we receive and ship it from there. And also the clothes that we send down to Frederick to the storefront to be sold actually in the store. So yes, there are the 2 locations, the Frederick, Maryland, and then the Indianapolis location as well for the warehouse.
So I'd like to back up a little bit and talk about why you decided to open, or the history behind opening up a clothing boutique. Tell me about that.
Sure. So, I was a mother. I had 2 kids, and coming next month, they're going to be 9 and 8. But about 5 years ago, I thought, I was just at home, bored. What am I going to do? Stay at home mom. I wanted to do some more things to earn extra income. And at that time, my sister Amelia, we kind of thought, hey, why don't we try to make a business? Let's try to sell something, keep us busy, earn some extra income. And we saw a friend who was actually selling clothing through direct sales. We saw, they were doing that, and we thought, well, why couldn't we do something like that? And also just to add, growing up, I never thought I'd become a business owner. Other people in my family, we do have business owners, but I just never thought that would be something I would do. But then fast forward to where we are now, and we just kind of went for it. We realized that there is a demand for online shopping for clothing, and we kind of opened a, basement boutique in our house. People would come in and shop around and then leave, but it kept growing and growing. And we would do kind of pop-up sort of things with the business, and it was just going really well. And then, my son, who is deaf and autistic, and we wanted to make sure that there was a school that had a program that could accommodate his needs. And so, looking around the US, trying to find a program for not only being deaf, but being autistic, at about that age, about 2 years old, we wanted to make sure we had a good program for some early intervention for him. And that was here in Indianapolis. They have a good program and good, therapists that sign. And it was just really going to be a good move for us. So we picked up from Frederick and moved up here, closed that basement shop at that time, but we continued to sell through our new house. And at that time, actually, it was online. So we were just operating out of our house. And then come 2019, around July, we decided, let's not do this direct sales business anymore. Let's do our own independent business. We can make our own decisions. We can pick the clothes we want to sell. Our business is growing. Let's do it. So we kind of made that transition. And, the following March, with COVID hitting and the pandemic, everything online just grew. The orders and people wanting to shop online, was really just helping us do great at that time. So we decided to, find, a small warehouse or something that we could kind of operate out of. And, that was at the time that the business was just really booming and starting to grow. So we thought, why not Frederick, Maryland? Let's see what the pricing looks like there for storefronts. And we just found out on Shab Row, the place that we ended up being at. We went in, talked about prices. It's not something that was going to be affordable that we could do. And our customer base, they were like, come on, we really miss your services and the experience we had working, shopping with you guys. And, those who remember us from the basement shop that we did. So my sister and I decided to go for it. She manages the business there on Shab Row. And there was no real plan about it. We just kind of made a spur of the moment, maybe crazy decision to just go for it and get our brick and mortar shop. And my sister manages, and it's doing really well. Already past the year mark, and we were actually voted Frederick's best boutique store. So that was really an honor, shows how our business has grown. And it's just really amazing to see, if you just go and take a risk like that and see what can happen. We operate, kind of the two locations, and my sister no longer is in the Frederick store because she had her third baby. So she helps out and still works with us when we need, she's still part of the business, but she's not running the store anymore. So she's actually up here in Indianapolis. But that's how the storefront came to be in Frederick.
It's a fun story that illustrates you really can live anywhere and run, or even a retail shop, particularly during this pandemic. Why not?
Right. Anything's possible.
Fun. So I love and respect that you and your sister work together. I could not do that. I could not work with my sister.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I think it helps because, we each know what our strengths and weaknesses are, and we can kind of pick up where each other, needs assistance. We're able to, okay, I'm weak with this, and that's her strong suit, and vice versa. So, we know where we want to go, and we're able to admit our weaknesses and let somebody else take over in that, realm when needed. And, her strengths coincide with her weaknesses coincide with my strengths. And, we always talk about clothes, and, that's in our business, and our husbands are always like, okay, guys, enough of that. They're pretty sick of it, but sorry, that's just where we're at. And we always talk about our business and shopping and the clothes. And yep.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, starting a business. So I guess you didn't really start it during the pandemic. You had been running this, but what was it like expanding, particularly opening up that retail store during the pandemic. What was that like?
I mean, it can be very scary. We were kind of nervous. How's it going to go? Will people still come into the shop with the pandemic? But we just had a strong instinct, strong gut feeling that it was going to be okay. And we should just go for it. We knew that we had the clientele base that would support us. And that really, helped us a lot. If we were starting from scratch, just really first time putting in a store and hoping people would come, that would even be more risky. But because we did have the clientele base who were familiar with shopping with us previously, then, going in and putting in the storefront, that was an extra bonus for them as well.
I love it. Yes. Tell our listeners a little bit about some of your goals of supporting other deaf-owned businesses and the suppliers that you have.
So we do have some suppliers that are deaf. There's somebody by Mara, and she makes the I Love You clothing. And there's someone who makes candles and like earrings, different kinds of jewelry. So we do pull their products and sell them in our store. But we are always looking for, ways to source other, deaf businesses and sell their stuff in their stores. And that's just kind of a way to help each other out. We're helping them, they're helping us. It's a good trade there. So when we're buying, when people buy products from us, they can support, two deaf businesses, because not only Sisters in Style, but also, the places that we've sourced from. And it's nice for hearing people who come into our store if they're, want to learn sign language, or maybe people who have deaf children want to come into the store, they're hearing, but they have deaf kids and they want to come in and shop. So it's a good place for that too.
Sounds like a great place for that. One of my goals is to learn sign language. I took it a little bit when I was much younger, but I did not retain it. My sister actually took it as her foreign language in high school, and her daughter is taking it now as her, I think it does count as her foreign language credit in high school. So, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's true. Mm-hmm. And Frederick Community College, FCC, they also have a good program there for ASL studies, and where you can learn about sign language and deaf culture. And, there's different apps and Facebook, Instagram, different ways for people to access classes and learn sign language that way. You can follow people and learn, signs from different deaf people all over the world. It's pretty cool.
I'm just going to keep watching this video over and over again, and that will be my first attempt. Thank you. So I'm curious. I want to get back a little bit to the why Frederick. The idea of starting a business and being able to locate that business anywhere. You were in Indianapolis. Your sister at the time was here. What was it about the Frederick community? Was it just simply a large deaf population, or was there more than that?
So Frederick, I would say is home to, from what I have read, about 3,000 deaf people that live there who know and use sign language and are deaf. And then there's also the Maryland Community Center that's in Frederick, Maryland as well. And they have different programs and events that they host for the deaf and hearing too, of course, people who are curious and want to come and learn more about sign language and deaf culture. And then, just a little bit south is Gallaudet and, Washington, D.C. that has a lot of deaf people working and living there as well. So it's just kind of the mecca for it. So that's kind of, the deaf people and just a big signing community. And it's just a great place that we thought to start our store.
Awesome. Thank you. What is it like going to shows and sourcing from the hearing community to come and, sell their products in your store? What's that process like?
So yeah, we'll go out to different shows, different trade shows. We've been to California. That's where a lot of the clothing's manufactured. Go there, negotiate the fabrics, what's going to be used, and all that sort of thing. We going to these hearing shows, we need to get sign language interpreters. And so that helps us really not feel like there's any barriers. It depends where we're going. Different cities, it might be harder for us to get the access, but we still want to go because we are familiar with, the terminology and who we're going to be talking with, or we work with them and they're familiar with us because we have that working relationship already. But some places it is kind of a fight still to get the interpreters, to make sure that deaf business owners have the same access that hearing business owners have when going to these trade shows.
Now, as a customer, as a hearing customer, not deaf speaking customer, I don't know ASL, and I come into your store. I found it very welcoming. And you've got a dry erase board that is used if you need to communicate. Can you tell our listeners tell our viewers today what they can expect if they were to come into your shop?
Sure. So when you come in, you would just expect a greeting from a deaf employee who works there. All of the employees in Indianapolis and Frederick are all deaf. So that's something we're proud of as well. In Frederick, the manager is deaf, and everybody who works in the store, like I said. So you'll get your friendly greeting, and you can feel free to ask any questions if you need help. Just take a look around the store. I mean, really just the same type of feel that you would have when you went into any other, boutique. And the goal is to just feel the same way. And the reason we pick Sisters in Style is because it's all deaf, and I think we're unique to others, and it just kind of made this relationship. And also you'll see the deaf suppliers that we use, and we have sizes from small to triple XL, and we have casual clothing, boho style, more formal like work attire. And we have Judy Blue jeans. That's a popular line. Everybody loves those. Even though we're a small store, people are always really impressed that we carry that line because that's a well-known one.
Several times that I've been in there, I've been impressed with the variety. Actually, you have, as you said, everything from accessories, earrings, handbags, things, to small, to sweaters and dresses and pants and casual and workwear. I have enjoyed the variety.
Yeah. And I like that we have plus size clothes as well, because I am plus size. And so I feel like, I understand the pains that people can go through and they try to go into regular stores, and you're like, okay, there's only small to large, where's extra large or 2 or 3X. So I think, I share that experience. And so, whenever you go shopping, and, I'll go with a friend sometimes and she can find clothes because she fits into, that standard clothing size, but then, I feel left out. So it's nice that anybody can come into the stores and shop with each other, and fits everybody.
In a previous episode of the Frederick Factor, I had a guest, Janice Lee, and she created a company called Hey Sis, named after her sister, basically. Hey Sis was how the company came to be. And because her sister is plus size, and she wanted her sister to have a place that she could go to buy clothes that fit. She's very, very focused on the plus size teen plus, so like a 13 to like 25-ish age bracket, that demographic, and creating those fun clothes that they feel comfortable wearing and that are can feel trendy and fun, and they can be proud of their body and everything. So it's actually a really sweet story. I'd love for you to read the transcript of that podcast episode. She's a beautiful human, and you should follow each other on Instagram. There's my plug. Okay.
Oh yeah, I will, definitely.
Okay, cool. So I'm curious of, I don't know, your biggest challenges as a business owner. What would you describe as some of your biggest challenges?
So of course we do face some challenges, but I always do look at challenges as learning experiences, ways to change and shift and accommodate that. Of course, the ups and downs with the pandemic and what that brought, trying to predict what sales are going to look like. Is it going to be good in a few months from now? What kind of stuff do we need to keep stocking wise? So from like September to December, when we just, had been opening the store, we didn't have any clothing in there, and we were just doing online at the time. People would order out through the Indianapolis warehouse, and I think that was a challenge because people were afraid to go into the store. So we didn't have a lot of traffic coming in. And so just trying to, how do we accommodate that with the pandemic? And, we were able to just change our system. We had, web-based system that kind of integrated with the storefront. So we had the storefront, and then, the warehouse and the online shopping side that kind of operated out of Indianapolis, and, how to figure out which stores are going to be coming, on inside our internal system. We had to figure out, which clothes are going to be coming out from the store. People are going to be coming in and picking it up, or is it going to be, sold? Is it going to be shipped to them? And just really balancing that, I would say was a challenge for us, but we got through that, and we've been doing pretty good now, and just really trying to meet our clientele base where they're at. And, I would say definitely so far, the biggest challenge has been COVID-19. And then, of course, some discrimination about being deaf, but we always just find a way to work around it. And, we don't just give up on that. That's not going to work, just forget it and move on to something else. No, we just, keep pursuing things and just never give up on it, and never give up on yourself, and just, you'll make it through. And we have a lot of allies as well within the community. A lot of our customers who are hearing, and maybe they're interpreters, or they just know sign language, codas, that frequent our store and are very supportive, and, always, how are you guys doing? You need help? You want us to come help out? And, it's great to see that support from the community.
As we, talk through this, there are so many similarities that you mention to any business owner. I have interviewed, like I said, a dozen underrepresented business owners, and whether you are Black or Hispanic or, female or whatever, however you are underrepresented, it is always this attitude, at least with the humans that I've been connecting with, that is, I can succeed. I can still do it. And I don't want to, I'm not going to let whatever it is, fill in the blank, define me or hold me back. So it's great to hear that in the same capacity.
Yes, it's very true. It really, hit me, back when I was doing the direct sales, and that there were just so many people, that wanted to sell clothes, and, they are essentially, normal hearing people speaking English. And, they don't have, they're not minority groups or whatever, and they just your normal average people. But they struggle too with the similar type of things. They had problems, moving up in the, in the direct sales, and we became, top 30 of that, even though we were deaf. So it's just kind of fascinating to see like, okay, it doesn't actually matter, are you deaf or underrepresented? As long as you just know what to do and know your ways, and you can figure things out and find workarounds and what works and what doesn't work, and just break through the barriers that are in front of you. And, it really was amazing to see like other people who aren't part of this underrepresented communities, they have similar struggles as well.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And there is that privilege in however we define it, that can be seen as an advantage and can sometimes be seen as a challenge to others. So it's interesting. I feel like as women,
Yes. Yeah. We call it the deaf gain in the deaf community. We like to refer to it as deaf gain. We kind of use that as a way to say, yeah, we're deaf, but what is the positives of our deafness, the strong community that we're a part of. And, we have a lot of support from them. And, if we host events, line out the door with deaf people, and, they get in and vote for us for, the different awards and whatnot. And they just really rally behind us. So that's something really cool. And we like to, in the deaf community, say deaf gain.
Gain. It's funny, in the transcript, it came off as deaf game, GAME.
Oh, gain.
GAIN. I love it.
Right. Yeah. Deaf gain.
Well, and when you were talking, so I own a marketing and PR firm. So we work with getting people, helping people to share their stories, just like this podcast. And I think that there would be such a fun media angle to tell your story and the story of you and your sister and this business and this community that you have embraced and that ultimately has embraced you here locally. So Nikki, what would you like our listeners, viewers, readers of this podcast, of this interview, to know about your business?
Well, what I would want them to know is that, we sell a variety of clothes, casual clothes, for work, casual, whatever you need. We've got our storefront out on Shab Row. We're open Wednesday through Sunday. We're closed Mondays and Tuesdays. If you want to have a chance to learn more about deaf people or sign language, deaf culture, see the different products we have from other deaf businesses, come in and take that chance to learn. We're very friendly. We've, like we said, have ways to communicate. If you don't know sign language, we have the whiteboards. So yeah, come on out and see us.
What would you like to see in Frederick County that could boost the growth of your business?
I mean, Frederick has already been great supporting us in what we need, making sure we have the tools and the resources. We have a Frederick downtown partnership. And, Frederick County is they're just great. It's awesome. I can't say enough about that. They have great resources for us, and hoping to see that maybe in Indianapolis, but it's just Frederick's such a tight knit community. They host events, and, I'd love to see, more deaf friendly activities or events, happening, but yeah, we're happy to partner with them.
It's awesome. I am actually a proud member of the Downtown Frederick Partnership Board of Directors. Oh, what'd you just say?
Well, I was just going to say that it's not exactly the same type of feel out here in Indianapolis as it is in Frederick, with that tight knit community. Indianapolis is just such a big city compared to sweet little Frederick. Love it. Love the feel there.
I think we visited some members of the board or of a committee visited the business when you first opened, but I don't recall exactly.
No, yeah. Yep, that was last year.
Awesome. Fun. Nikki, is there anything else that you'd like to add that you have not mentioned during this call today that you'd like for our audience to know?
Oh, I feel like I covered all the bases there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to ask you our final question that I ask every guest, and that is, what is your Frederick factor?
All right. My Frederick factor is, the big, strong deaf community. And if you want to come and see a unique, store, you can come in and have a signing, and, it's friendly. It's a cool place to be. We're very unique because, like I mentioned, on the MARC train, there's a Frederick statue right on the MARC train out there that really says a lot, about the community and the signing community, and other towns don't have that. So that really, I think, makes the city very unique. It's just a unique city, a unique corner of the world.
And Nikki, you're talking about the bike rack that spells out Frederick in ASL. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I would say that's just a couple blocks from where the store is. So yeah, it's a sweet little nod to the sign language.
Yeah, it is a beautiful piece of functional art, I guess.
Right,
I usually wrap up my interviews with that Frederick factor question, but I'm actually curious about, this idea of deaf-friendly events and activities. And I'm curious, what could we be doing? What should we be doing? What opportunity exists there?
Well, I've seen, when events are hosted, different like tours, or like, for example, like the ghost tour or something that should be offered, have sign language interpreters offered, so it can be accessible to the deaf community, or book readings or different events that take place. Just always make sure that interpreters are there, because then when deaf, or even have like a deaf guest come and do some sort of speaking event, or I'd always say just, have sign language interpreters. And then when you're advertising the event, make sure that's known, because, sometimes deaf people might just assume, they're not going to have an interpreter, or I don't want to have to go through the hoops of requesting an interpreter. And so they might not attend. But if, it kind of puts the burden on the community, on the deaf community, to have to ask and make sure. But if it's just always provided and it's included in the advertising for it, so people know that it's there, I think that it just makes it a more open and friendly environment. And I'm sure, deaf people will want to go to more and more events if they know that they don't have to, there's no hassle, and they'll have interpreters provided.
I think in the show notes, we'll include a link to iYellow Interpreting, and maybe we'll find another resource. I don't know, but at least that one that you're right. We'll kind of try to break down some of those barriers and make it more accessible and a little bit more inclusive for all of our activities and events. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Nikki, is there anything else that you'd like to add today?
No, I think that's it. I think we got it all. Just ready for the new year and look forward to what's to come, and what's gonna, it's maybe going to be an interesting year. We'll see how things go. Just looking forward to it.
You're right. I thank you so much. I hope that 2022 is amazing. And if you are in Frederick visiting the shop, please, shoot me a message. I would love to hook up.
Oh, yeah, sure. Of course.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you to our listeners. I hope that you all are inspired to learn ASL, go visit Sisters in Style Boutique out in Chabreau in downtown Frederick, or visit them online. We'll include all of those details in the show notes. My name is Sandy Dubé, and it has been my privilege to be the host of season 1 of The Frederick Factor. Thank you so much for joining.